Okay, why don't we just go ahead and get started and people can join as it gets a little bit later. Thank you for joining our latest installment of the Solution Series. This is the second of the second session where we've put on so far. These sessions are a chance for CJRF partners to share their work with the rest of the CJRF community, including other CJRF grantees, our Council of Advisors, and our review board. Today's session is with Christian Aid Kenya. Christian Aid Kenya is doing work in northern Kenya, and I will pass it over to Milton and Abdul, who will lead today's session.
Thank you very much. I want to turn on my video so you can all see me. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone from wherever you are. I hope you are doing well. This is Milton Ogada, Program Officer, Economic and Climate Justice with Christian Aid. I'm on the call with my colleague, Abdul. I think I'll give him time to introduce himself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Milton. My name is Abdullah Guko. I'm a colleague to Milton, working from the Kenya office. I am currently supporting with the program management of the Kenya portfolio. Thank you. Hillary, would you like us to delve deep get into the presentations?
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. Milton will be able to project. So Milton, could you project the one, our presentation? Thank you so much, Milton. So just to share that Christian Aid, we've been working in Kenya since 1997, and we are working with different organizations, and our four thematic areas that we work on. One is on climate justice. The second thematic area that we work on is with regards to inclusive markets. And then we do have humanitarian, where we're working in the northern area, really to support the communities ravaged by the harsh climatic conditions. And then we do have the inclusive markets element and health and nutrition. Next, Milton. Within the climate justice work stream, which is one of the work streams where we really focus on, Christian Aid in partnership with other partners, we are able to look at 4 different areas. One, we are looking at increasing access to information. The other one, we are looking at building resilient agriculture and resources. And then we're also looking at the aspect of decentralizing climate finance for community-based adaptation through advocacy. And then lastly, we are able to really work around issues of renewable energy. So in a nutshell, we are looking at the aspect of policy. We are looking at the aspect of participation and leadership. Then we are also targeting the institutional frameworks. And lastly, we are looking at implementation and practices. And all these fits within the cycle of knowledge and data. Next, Milton.
Yes, are you able to see?
Milton, just place the full screen.
I've done the full slide. Are you able to see now?
Not yet. I think there is a challenge, but I'll just proceed. Then we are able to, we'll be able, once it comes in, then we are able to pick it up from there. Moving forward, I'd like just to share that within Christian Aid, we look at 3 different aspects in terms of 3 Ps. We are looking at challenging poverty, whereby climate change, we work within the ASAL region, which has amongst the most poorest in the country. So in terms of project design, we are able to really engage and identify the most vulnerable through conducting a participatory vulnerability and capacity assessment. And our work really, we engage our work through the local organizations where we are able to embed within the communities we serve. And then we are also able to work, we do have a decentralized governance system. So rather than look at it from a national level, we are looking at it both from the county level and the national level. So whatever is happening within the county level, we are able to really link it with the priorities at the national level. And lastly, the county climate change finance mechanism. This is a really innovative model that previously we've been able to pilot in a couple of counties, and these counties have been able to set aside about 2 to 3% of their annual budget to issues of climate adaptation. Next, Milton. The other aspect, yes, we are, thank you. Then the other aspect is power. Within Christian Aid, because we are really advocating for justice, we are able to really provide interventions that are really able to challenge the power dynamics, where we feel that maybe women, girls, and youth are really secluded from decision-making. We are able to provide platforms where community members are able to participate, elect leaders, build the capacity of leaders, and ensure that for any leadership structures, the leadership structures really takes cognizance of the various community population segments. And then the other aspect is with regards to collective action and participation. Rather than even having the numerical advantage of particular genders in decision-making, we'd really like to see that these roles are really filled in by the specific genders, so that at least we don't have maybe a numerical advantage, but then in terms of quality, decision-making is missing. And lastly is with regards to influencing power through policy drive. We are able to look at policies and see whether the policies are disadvantageous, and then provide a platform to really critique and work on these. Next, Milton. The other aspect is with regards to prophetic voice. More often than not, we have various vulnerable and marginalized community members whose voices never count or are never given that opportunity to really raise concerns or provide their feedback. So what do we do as Christian Aid? As Christian Aid, we work with other organizations to ensure that where there are already existing structures, we beef up these structures. And that is why when we do implement all these engagements, even with the CJRF project, we were able to really rally around the legislative council within the various counties to really push through the agenda that really enables the various communities to become resilient and to have adaptation mechanisms within their communities. And so we work with different stakeholders from forums, consortiums, and in different platforms just to ensure that we are able to agitate and champion for voices of the most marginalized. And then once we do have the various platforms, we ensure that the voice of these individuals are really heard through mainstream and social media, and we are able to engage them right from the inception, initiation, implementation until execution and closure. Next, Milton. And then the other aspect is, the other aspect that we look into is with regards to operational excellence. And so when we look at operational excellence, we are looking at total quality management, whereby we are able to work with coalitions and networks of like-minded organizations so as to bring change, amongst others, for collective action. And so we are able to really deliver a guideline for scale out of devolved climate financing mechanism to ensure quality and excellence. And at the core of all these is really engagement and interventions of the various community members, really for them to drive the process. And so once we build this capacity, that's why we are so keen on the aspect of localization. We really reach out to the various community members to inform the design, to inform the implementation, and we are able to have feedback mechanism whereby community members are able to give us feedback, and we are able to incorporate these as we move forward so as to really maybe change the structure of the design and also be able to really enhance adaptive programming so that if something happens within a spur of a moment, we are able to alert our partners, incorporate the various ideas, and also come up with a risk mitigation measure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the end of the presentation, Hillary. Maybe over to you if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdul. And I think
Ulikuwa
maybe
ngapi?
we could allow us to go through the next presentation. No, but maybe you could mute. Do the next presentation. Then after that, we'll be able to receive questions in the plenary session. If that's okay, then we can proceed. Lilari, is that fine?
That's good. Yeah.
Good then. So I'll be able to share the next presentation that is going to speak on the project, the CJRF project that we concluded its implementation in March this year. So Christian Aid partnered with the Climate Justice Resilience Fund in 2018 when we launched the project in August 2018, a project that ran all through to March 2022. The project was aiming at strengthening pastoralist community resilience in northern Kenya, and we are specific in 2 counties, that is Samburu and Marsabit. This project was implemented through the help of our able partners, and that is PASIDA as well as Caritas Marala. PASIDA would mean Pastoralist Community Initiative Development and Assistance Program that is implemented there. So the areas that we worked are ASAL regions in the northern Kenya. If you look at the map and the picture speaks to the context, which is largely an ASAL region suffering from continuous drought impacts, even what is now at play. With the 2 counties, one of them is the largest county in Kenya, that's Marsabit. And then Marsabit is the county that is neighboring, Samburu is neighboring Marsabit, and they share more or less the same context. Our project strategy used several approaches in terms of engagement. We worked with stakeholders, we worked with government, we worked with the community members, as well as faith-based organizations and other actors at the community level to ensure that we're able to achieve our main objectives. In terms of the results that we were able to really achieve, the project's targeted activities, I'm going to mention some of the priority activities that we listed during the design of the project and the results. So I've mentioned that the project implementation was supported by 2 partners, that's PASIDA and Caritas. And of course, our targeted direct beneficiaries were 7,086. Of course, we were able to reach 4,315 female and 2,771 male. And of course, 274 PWDs, totaling to around also 42,000 indirect beneficiaries. So key focus of the project was to consolidate climate change legislation and policy formulation in Marsabit and Samburu counties. The project was implemented in 4 and 3 sub-counties of both the 2 counties, Marsabit and Samburu, respectively. So in terms of activities, the project was able to support participation in community climate adaptation practice through conservation practices. We supported participation in budget and planning process among the communities to enable them actually have their voices considered during the decision making. We supported the development of county integrated development plans, the review of the 2nd generation, as well as the annual development plans and midterms plans within these 2 counties. We also supported to establish the communities that are engaging, community groups, we call them the self-help groups, that are actively engaging in income generating activities, aiming at cushioning the communities during the hard times, especially during the drought times like today. So we have also the village saving and loan associations that were established among these communities, that the groups are working closely, especially in terms of consolidating resources and loaning out to members to be able to manage the situations that occur Of course, we were also supported the World Climate Change Planning Committee formulation, especially in Marsabit County, that actually managed to deliver quite a lot of results than Samburu, which the policy processes somehow delayed. So this was in the spirit of enabling the devolved climate financing so that the counties can be able to take action, of course, undertake some of the initiative at the community level that address climate impacts. So in terms of some of the results, the project improved the policy environment for sustainable rangeland management in both the two counties. We looked at livestock production and access to climate information services. These were through the community extension persons. We talked about the radio within the community level, the SMS messaging of climate information to reach the community members at the remote areas. For example, in Marsabit, we were able to establish the climate change fund mechanism. This is a mechanism that enable the counties to set aside some percentage of their county development budget, really to be able to address impacts of climate change through the ward planning committees. So Marsabit County set aside 2% of their development budget in terms of what they prioritize within the policy. And of course, we also supported the processes of access to climate information and use of climate finance from different sources to build community resilience to climate change. So through these structures that were established, the communities in Marsabit today are able to engage both the county government and also other development actors really to come in and support some of the processes or initiatives that they undertake in terms of addressing climate impacts. So the CCCF mechanism, which is the County Climate Change Fund, places the citizens really at the center of decision making on matters climate change. And of course, we know that now both women, youth, and people living with disability are now taken care of when it comes to participation and voicing in decision-making forums. So these committees actually have been gazetted in the case of Marsabit. And for Samburu, they await the formation of the WCCPCs, the ward committees, because the policy processes delayed. But of course, when the project was closing, we had supported the processes to almost conclusion. As we speak now, the county government took the responsibility to finalize the processes and deliver the policy and acts, both on rangeland management as well as climate change. So that is in summary actually of what we have done. We take pride of gender inclusion as one of the key achievements, where we have increased voice of women and youth in policy and decision making processes as one of the key achievements that we have really been able to gain. So there's increased participation of communities with focus on women and youth meaningfully participating in county planning and budgeting process for increased financing on adaptation, climate change adaptation initiatives. I think we could consider the case of Samburu, where there's been quite a substantial allocation really to support the initiatives on climate adaptations through the groups that are in existence, even though they are still in the process of formulating the climate change planning committees. So from the time we were doing the evaluation, we look at the 70% of the community priorities identified during community forums are captured actually in the county development plans. So this is as a result of the support we provided through public participation of communities. And of course, a number of women and youth were involved and their priorities were taken care of in these plans that are currently under implementation. So We have the comprehensive participatory community adaptation and resilience action plans in each of the targeted wards that we worked in. That is helping the communities really to plan well and on matters adaptation actions. So we look at increased capacity of community-based institutions in sustainable rangeland management and livelihood diversification as a result of the trainings that we did, such as training on climate smart agriculture, value addition in livestock production, poultry and beekeeping. So some of them are actually today even making cash out of the value addition on camel products such as camel milk, produce yogurt in the case of Marsabit. So members of the community members in target communities are making decisions based on climate information and forecast that they receive. So decisions are not made randomly like it used to be, but of course now they are focusing much in terms of what they get as a result of climate information that helps them in making such decisions. We talked about this information being broadcasted through radio broadcasts. We talk about bulk SMS platforms. Community climate champions are very active at the community level as we speak today. We have the community barazas, extension officers, and of course, many more. So in terms of learnings, what we could pick from the CJRF project, I wish to mention that devolved climate financing is a critical avenue to ensure that adaptation actions are undertaken at the grassroots level, where the impacts of climate change are felt most. So we are looking at promoting a devolved climate financing, really to enable activities at the community level. And this is to also give the communities opportunity to make decisions and also address issues that are pertinent to them and climate related. So there's evidence of community resilience building through adaptation approaches and initiatives to avert loss and damage can be used to influence the government negotiators to push agenda of loss and damage financing at the grassroots level. So we are looking at the structures and systems that we supported these county governments to put in place to really enhance adaptation actions. But again, we want to now start thinking with regards to loss and damage, because some of these areas are where the loss and damage impacts are felt most. We want to see if at all the initiatives or rather the actions that we supported are better mechanisms through which loss and damage financing can be tapped really to help address some of these loss and damages among these communities. So working with stakeholders and linking groups to relevant stakeholders is a very sustainable approach, as different stakeholders have different services to offer, and it helps reduce duplication of efforts while spreading benefits. So I mentioned some of these groups are engaging different stakeholders, and it is as a result of the robust engagement that the program had with relevant stakeholders really to be able to support. So this one is enhancing sustainability and continuity of the work. Of course, also making the communities to remain relevant in the efforts that they put during the program implementation. So building capacity of climate justice champions was one of the most effective ways that we use really to empower the communities, as the champions can impart their knowledge faster within the communities. So these champions sit within the communities and they engage at different forums and functions with the communities. And therefore, it is possible that they are in a position to easily impart knowledge on the larger community and also continue to engage them so as to enable them remain relevant and also take action, especially in terms of addressing climate change. So women are crucial at the art of climate action. There are different frontline in developing climate solutions and utilizing indigenous knowledge. So the project supported meaningful participation of women in decision making. And of course, I believe that women and youth really interact more with the environment, and of course also suffer large the impacts of climate change. So in terms of their capacities, building them and also supporting their participation is crucial, especially in enabling sustainable climate action solutions and actions at the community level, which is currently happening, and it's a point we can take pride of, and of course loud the efforts that we put in terms of building the nation. So in terms of ensuring the project sustainability and local ownership, it is important that the community gatekeepers and local administrations are involved in the entire project cycle, including leading project activity, planning, and where appropriate. So we engaged and involved everybody, including the community gatekeepers, who are very key, especially also the local leaders are very key when it comes to mobilization and decision making. And they really supported this process going through the implementation. And of course, even now, ensuring that some of these processes continue. So a few challenges that maybe faced us, one would be the aspect of coronavirus that really affected the implementation at some point. And of course, this resulted to us requesting for no cost extension that proceeded to March when we concluded. There is the drought that is still happening. We have the issues of limited resources really to be able to support climate actions now that the systems are enabled through the support of this program. Then of course, it remains the question of action in terms of implementation of these initiatives. And also the issues of insecurity that are rampant. We talk of cattle rustling, we talk of the community clashes that happen. Some of them happen as a result of scramble for the resources that are available. So that is, those are a few of the challenges that we faced during this implementation. And I think where we are now is a place where we needed to really have a look at a video that we produced from the project. And of course, this video also was presented during the last conference of parties, the COP26 in Scotland. And I want us to have a look at it in groups thereafter. We look at the video and then we can break into groups so that in the groups we can have the discussions around the questions that maybe Hillary will display, so that we are able to have secretaries in each and every group, people recording feedback from the group members, and those are going to go a long way in supporting our work. So in terms of the next steps for us, I believe we say that this program was one of the best because it's really addressed some of the needs of the most marginalized communities in these areas that we focused on. And we are looking at how best we can sustain the work going forward, because we're talking about supporting policy processes and putting in place frameworks and structures. Then the next question is now, what next? What action? So we want to continue supporting the process to ensure that the communities are able to now take action. And of course, the county governments are able also now to deliver in terms of the commitments that they made through policies in terms of resources, as well as looking at how we can generate, rather consolidate learning from the structures that we put in place, really to advance the conversation around loss and damage financing, which I think is going to be at the center focus. So we want to see, in terms of adaptation preparedness that we've done, what can we improve really to prepare these communities really to be able to get the loss and damage financing, which our main intention is to see how the money flows down to the communities where the action is needed, so that some action can be taken and compensation, especially on loss and damage issues, can be undertaken. So I think that's the summary of what I have. And maybe I can now share the video for us to have a look. And then I think we will know the next step going forward. So I'm trying to open the video. I don't know whether you're able to see my screen still. Somebody confirm.
We cannot see the video.
You can't see
No,
the video.
I think you have to stop sharing and then share the
Okay.
video.
Let me restart.
Milton, why don't I share the video on my screen? How's that?
Are you able to
Yeah.
see?
Can everyone
You
see it?
can't see. Can anybody? Let me try to reshare again.
Milton, why don't I share the video on my screen? I think it will work better. Oh, looks like you got it.
Okay. Could you please try then? Can you see mine?
Yep, we can see it. You can hit play.
Yes. So I think I'm going to play it. This is one video that was produced by Christian Aid out of the CJRF project that we concluded, and of course it's focusing on the women being at the front line on action against climate change, and of course voicing their concerns and priority issues. So we look at how it happens in the North and how this program has influenced the participation of women specifically on when it comes to decisions and policy processes, especially focusing on climate change. So I will play the video. If you can see it.
There's no volume, Milton. Can you turn the volume up?
Hi, Milton. When you share the screen, choose the share audio option as well. That way we'll be able to hear with the same volume you have on your side. So as you share screen, just also share computer audio. Just check.
Yeah, let me check.
You take the run button.
Wow, I think I'm facing challenge.
Milton, why don't you stop sharing?
Let it go. Maybe I can stop so that it'll
Yeah, let me try. Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Can you hear it?
Nimejitolea kuwasaidia wamama na kusimama nao waelekeza kwa ile mahali yenye watapata usaidizi.
yes.
Nimeona kuna mabadiliko kwa sababu kila mahali mara nikitoa sauti kupeleka malalamishi, kuna wale wanasikiza na wananyamaza na kuna wale wanafuatilia. dhagaammoo eeganadhee namti firshiidha qabdiini. Daboo barbaadi qoraanii biisi. Barbaadi bisaaniisi. Barbaadi sagalee namni boruu ati waliin deemte leen hojjaa gali sagalee si gaafata. Atillee yoo kana alumaa dhufte. Kanadheeni fashiidha mingi. Dhiirallee. Mimi kwa majina naitwa Sadia Isako. Mimi ni mama, nimeolewa. Mimi ni mama mwenye ninakuanga kwa kikundi ya wamama. Mimi kuwa kwenye hii forum ya wamama na kuwasaidia na kuwahamasisha. Nimeona tangu nianze hii kazi. Saizi kuna wamama wenye sauti yao imesikika mpaka wamepata ile mahitaji yenye walikuwa wanatafuta. Kwa mfano, kuna wamama wamepata nafasi ya kuingia kwa public participation. Walikuwa wafugaji na saizi hawana. Wamefunzwa hali ya kujisaidia kwa njia nyingine ya kupanda mboga karibu na nyumba. Nikienda kwa hii forum nikipeleka malalamishi, nimeona sauti ya wanaume ndio inasikika sana, ya wamama haisikilizwi. Lakini niliona nikifuatilia na nikirudia kuna vile wananisikiza na wanachukua hatua. Lakini nikiwacha tu na siku ya kwanza inawachiliwa hapo tu, hakuna kushughulikiwa.
Thank you, Larry, for sharing. And I think now that video is a short one that speaks to the voice of one of the lady champion who is at the front line in ensuring that she supports the participation of women, of course, through continuous lobbying and sensitization of women groups. So she's one of the beneficiaries of this project. And of course, she's one of them that I mentioned are a number of the climate justice champions at the community level. You know, you are able to see how they have engaged into delivering several other activities that are geared towards building their resilience to climate change. She's talked about other activities like kitchen gardening and the fodder production. She talks about the continuous lobbying to ensure that the issues that they raise as women are taken into consideration. She complains at some point about the voice of men being considered more than women. So I think that's, I wanted us to have a look at that video. And then of course we can be able to depict a few things. One of them being, what are some of the successes that we can pick, lessons and successes that we can pick, or rather lessons and gaps. And then what are some of the successes and opportunities that Christian Aid can pick out of this, really to be able to improve our program going into the future. So I presented the 2-minute video for us all to have a look at. And then when Hilary breaks us to groups, then we can be able to discuss the video. And then our secretaries will report back. So each group will have somebody who will take notes. And then during reporting, they'll be able to report back. So I don't know, in terms of the plenary, for the questions on the 2 presentations, Hilary, could we give it a go before we break out? Because I think maybe after the breakouts, we may just conclude.
Yeah, I think we have time for 1 or 2 questions.
Okay. So then I think the floor is then open for anybody with a question directed to me, and then Abdul will also be here to help respond as we proceed. So it's open. you can raise your hand or you can come to the mic.
Moklis.
Yeah, I mean, many thanks for making a very nice presentation on your project and elaborated on your activities. I just have a little question, like, who are the policy stakeholders or the actors whom you or your communities claim justice? I mean, climate justice or environmental justice. I mean, that's I like to know a bit on that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think, is there any other question before I can give it a go? Thanks. Okay, let me try to respond to that, and then maybe Abdul can add in. But of course, when I started the presentation, I mentioned about the context of this, of Kenya, the governance system, where we have the two-tier government, we have the national government, and also we have the county level, rather the subnational government. And of course, when you ask about the policy stakeholders or actors, first I would want to mention that at where we work for this program was focused at the subnational level, where the policy actors were quite a number of people. We had the government institutions that are working at the subnational level, such as the Kenya Wildlife Service, the National Drought Management Authority. We have the county government, who are the custodians of this policy, representatives. So we engage both the assembly, the county assembly, as well as the executive in terms of drafting, lobbying, and of course, the public participation processes, because for us, we would support, rather initiate the discussions around the policy with the executive at the county level, and then the processing is done at the assembly. So once it is done, then the county government becomes the custodian of these policies. But of course, actors were quite a number. I talked about the community members who are participating actively. I talk about the non-state actors who are involved. I also talk about, those are the civil society organizations. I talk about the government representatives, those that are devolved, but also are centered at the national level. We talk about the National Drought Management Authority. We talk about the Kenya Meteorological Department that are key in terms of climate information service and how it goes into the policy documents that you're putting in place. We talked about the Kenya Wildlife Service department that is looking strongly into how issues of rangeland management and wildlife conservation are taken into consideration within these policy documents. So there are quite a number of stakeholders that were involved, but it ranged around the government institutions, the community members, as well.
Oh, I think we just lost Milton. Looks like he fell off the call. Why don't I go ahead and open us up into breakout groups? You can consider the questions that were posed around the video, and then we'll come back in about 10 minutes to close the session. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I acknowledge it's always quite jarring to get forced into the main room out of a breakout. Since we're running out of time, why don't we have everyone put one opportunity or success for Christian Aid's future programming into the chat? take the discussion you had just now and put an opportunity for the Christian Aid team in the chat. Or if someone would like to volunteer, they can read an opportunity out loud.
Maybe we could ask those who are taking notes to just speak out so that we could record. They could go into record.
I can quickly come in for you. So from our group, we had lots of good opportunities, but one that I think stood out was that there was a lot of women's voices, and so it would be great moving forward to sort of strengthen them into a collective movement, and to really strengthen them to make, I guess, larger change, and for men and women's voices to come together, to work together rather than in silos.
Mary, would you like to unmute and say more about your comment in the chat?
Yeah, hi everyone. So in our group, we had the discussion and we cited that from the project, we realized that there has been tremendous progress in terms of increasing the agency of women and girls in matters of advocacy and in matters of adaptation and resilience. But there might have been some groups that were not, we did not concentrate on certain other marginalized groups who would also help us in trying to achieve part of what we had wanted to achieve at the beginning of the project. So just focusing on other marginalized groups and ensuring that their voice is equally heard and they are also partaking in these activities.
Thank you, Mary. I think we have time for one more comment.
Hi.
Yes, go ahead.
By the way, I am Abdurrani Musawi from Morocco. I'd like to have to just to elaborate on the fact that it's like you have by the way, justice, you have climate justice. It's like it's a collaborative project, and which means it's like you have, and all the people should take and have part in it. It's not only for women. It's not, this is not only the responsibility of women, but all the type of people should take part in this. We have this project. And by the way, I think you have to achieve, climate justice. It's like we should have reinforce what is international collaboration, which means the countries should have collaborate, should cooperate, should have help each other, to achieve this, because it's a big project. This is a big project, and you should have help each other and have to at least you have to stop or to put an end to environmental problems. And and the problem nowadays we are facing is that I think a lot of conferences international at the international level or at the local level or at the national level, but I think to what extent we are practical. It's like we should put all those who have insightful ideas. I think we have noble ideas, we have good ideas, but we should be practical. We should know we should do something, because recently we have experienced, as I said, that we have there are countries organize meetings, summits, forums, and so on. But I think we have still there are many have much work should be done in order to put all those insightful ideas and have into practice. As I said, you have climate justice. It's a collaborative project. Any individual in the society is responsible. So we should reinforce collaboration, cooperation among people and at the national level, and also we should believe in international collaboration. And thank you.
Thank you for that comment. With that, I will have to end the call. We're a little bit over. Thank you all for joining us today. Our next session, I have put the registration link in the chat. It will be on August 23rd at the same time as today's session. And it will also be focused on a project in Kenya from our partners at Ilaramatech Community Concerns. We look forward to seeing you at future Solution Series sessions.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.